I think the number one thing that defines whether you're going to end up being good at CS or not is how you handle adversity. Anyone who has put any time and effort into grinding knows the highs and lows of this game are extreme. One day you can be fragging out of your mind, making all the right reads, and the next your crosshair is trailing 8 inches behind a CT strafing past you with an MP9, and you're thinking about everything else you could have accomplished with the thousands of hours you've logged on this meaningless game. A few months ago, I posted a video sharing my frustrations about feeling hard stuck in FACEIT and how I felt discouraged and even embarrassed at times that even though I got all this coaching, I was still a low-level player who was essentially hard capped at 1100 elo. Despite the frustrations, I promised to keep going and to document these efforts. Through this process, I felt like I had definitely become a better player, but it was really eating away at me that I had essentially nothing to show for it, despite streaky flashes of good play and some cool highlights here and there. I think it was a combination of playing decent but not well enough to carry, such that I had simply become a victim of variance. And through some honestly horrendous luck, I couldn't stop losing games. At one point in late November, I had lost twice as many games as I had won over my last 50, despite having just over a 1.0 KD and playing in lobbies where I was one of the lowest ranked players. I know there's a lot of delusion amongst people who are bad at CS, but I think it's fair to say I was a bit unlucky here. All this is to say that I strongly felt that my rank was artificially depressed, but I had no way to prove it. This all came to a head with a brutal 9-game losing streak that had me teetering on the edge of a sad return to level 3. I was once again in a place where I felt like quitting. I was getting too emotionally invested and increasingly frustrated with every subsequent loss, despite telling myself I wouldn't let this kind of irrational thinking take over again. I stopped playing for a couple weeks and took the extra free time to work on some music for the first time in a while. This was a great way to recenter and remind myself that I have a lot more going on in life than CS and my FACEIT rank. I definitely recommend taking up a non-competitive hobby, by the way. It can be a great way to balance yourself out when CS feels cruel and punishing. Anyway, you've been listening to this music I made during my break throughout the video thus far. It's part of a new EP I have out called Losing Streak, so if you like it, you can get it on my Bandcamp page. I'll leave some links in the description. A plus side of losing as much as I was losing is that the impact from it begins to dull. After a healthy break, I was able to step back into the server with a sense of lightness and a complete lack of internal pressure. I was also given a little confidence boost upon the release of FACEIT 2.0, which came with a nice little gift of over 70 elo return from playing against Smurfs, and some needed validation that I was just kind of down on my luck. This felt like a sign to resume the grind, and for whatever reason, I started making huge gains. The first week or so of December 2024 was the best stretch of CS I've ever played, both results-wise and in personal performance. Some switch got flipped. I was deadlifting myself out of elo hell, carrying myself all the way up to level 7 and within 2 games of level 8. So what allowed me to have this hot streak exactly? Honestly, I'm not sure I could point to any one specific thing aside from the fact that I was playing workshop maps, working on my spray, and deathmatching every day, which helped me play with confidence and without fear of taking duels. And anyway, that hot streak is long gone. Right as I started to have level 8 in my sights, I lost a nearly unbelievable 12 games in a row after returning home from Christmas vacation. Which sucks, but I've suffered comically long losing streaks so many times now that I have just come to accept it's part of the experience. There's no rank protection in FACEIT, the swings are just inevitable. I've clawed back a lot of that elo loss, and I'm currently playing pretty mediocre CS right now in the middle of level 6. The only grand takeaway I have over the last 3 months or so since my last video is I guess to not give up, and that you're getting better even if you can't tell. So many times I'll have an awful game dropping like 40 ADR only to queue another and play way above my average level. I think trying to chase consistency in CS, especially while pugging, will actually drive you insane, so you might as well just embrace the chaos. By the way, I know I mentioned in my prior video that I was gonna start solo queuing a lot, and I did for a period with pretty decent results. I did, however, eventually stop again. I can make myself do it for a stretch of time, but ultimately I find it requires so much more mental and emotional effort and energy that I just end up burning myself out if I do it too much. So that's what I've been up to lately. I haven't reached the peak of Stoic CS, but I do feel a lot more chill about everything these days, and I've been enjoying the game a lot for the most part. Ultimately, I still have less than 450 total Faceit Pugs logged in CS2, so while I can still get caught up on every whiffed shot, missed smoke, and lost anti-eco round, I still need to do a lot more playing if I want to reach the top. I started streaming again here and there, so if you want to follow along with the journey, feel free to give me a follow over on Twitch. You can find my new EP, Losing Streak, over on my Bandcamp page, and it'll probably be up on streaming services pretty soon. Thanks.